Mache. My name is Fred Rickard. I am the Community Coordinator for the Moose River Heritage and Hospitality Association. Welcome to Itipajimonek, celebrating our storytelling. I would like to thank all who have contributed to making this possible, and we hope you enjoy it. Miigwech.
Bay life, a chill runs through your mind when you realize your life is on the line.
Hello, this is Bob Sutherland. I'd like to welcome everybody to the storytelling, and I will be praying for everyone that everything will be good, everything that people want to share, the storytelling, the history of our area, and how special it is for our people to remember the past and bring it to our younger generation, how our community has evolved through storytelling. And I would also like to thank the organizers of getting this storytelling going. It's a very important part that we understand all the things, the positive things that our community has done in the past, and to keep going with our culture, remembering how to preserve wild food, how to preserve and keep our land clean, our waters clean, so that our future generations, our young people, will have that for 7 generations to come, and that they in turn will be keeping these stories alive that we're going to be sharing in the next few days. And I welcome everyone, and I thank you all.
Hi, I'm Bernice Capachuzet. I'm from Moose Factory, Ontario, and I'm part of the committee for this more than 350th commemoration that will be happening in 2023. And along with me is my co-chair, Virginia Barter. Virginia?
Hi, I'm actually calling in from Toronto. That's where I live, but I spend a lot of time up in the James Bay area, visiting my family up there, and staying connected with that part of the world is really important to me. And my grandmother comes from Fort George on the east side of James Bay, and her father as well. So we go back a lot of generations in James Bay, and everybody passed through Moose Factory. And there's lots of stories in our family about Moose Factory and pictures and all kinds of heritage that I've learned over the years. And I really hope that I can share a lot of what I know and have come to understand about that connection over the course of our projects that we'll be doing. I'm a real history buff, and I really hope we can really focus on that in a really exciting way for people.
So back in January 2020, the Moose River Heritage and Hospitality Association had an initial meeting, and was advertised throughout the community, and people who were interested in being part of the committee came out for that initial meeting, which was that cold winter night. And we'd like to actually, from there, we'd like to invite others to come and join and be a part of this committee and share your stories and your expertise in the, the heritage and culture of Moose Factory and area.
So this storytelling event that we're having today is the first of a series of events, 12 actually, that will happen over the next 2 years leading up to the launch of the 350th anniversary in 2023.
We're asking local organizations to appoint a representative from your organization or association to become a part of our committee.
So some of the projects we've been considering for 2023 are lots of cultural and musical events, music festivals, maybe film festival, an international conference or symposium, maybe even a documentary project or a commemorative book, which I think would be really exciting. And Bernice, what else?
Yeah, I'd like to add that during the gathering of our people, and hopefully by 2023, we'll be able to gather again, which is always an awesome week of events in itself, but adding to that, inviting musicians perhaps from the Orkney Islands, as you said, having music part of it, and many of the local artists to come out and the fiddlers, and just all our local talent. We have so much in our communities.
So these events will have quite an international flavor to them as well, because we really want to extend our hospitality to those beyond our communities, beyond Moose Factory and Moosonee and James Bay, but also even across the Atlantic.
In addition, a committee has been set up for the restoration of St. Thomas Church as a heritage site, and the co-chairs are Norm Wesley and Logan Jeffries.
And we hope you enjoy the rest of our program today.
This is Stan Wesley's Moose Factory Heritage Moment.
Oh, are deadly.
This has been Stan Wesley's Moose Factory Heritage Moment.
Wache, my name is Stan Kapashisa and I'm the board chairperson for the Moose River Heritage and Hospitality Association. We call it Mr. Ha for short. I'm also the appointed board member for Moose Cree First Nation, where I work as the Director of Economic Development. The MRHHA was evolved out of Moose Factory Tourism Association, co-founded by Moose Cree First Nation and Mo Quebec in 2004, and a gradual merger with the Moose Factory Historical Association, which started up in 2007. The MRHHA has 3 founding jurisdictional members: Moose Cree First Nation, Mo Quebec Iyud, and the town of Moosonee, each of which appoints a representative to our 9-member board. Our other 6 board members are grassroots community members, at least one from each jurisdiction, who are elected from and by our other association members, usually at our AGM. In addition to the jurisdictional and individual members, our association is also open to other organizational and business members who want to help us build a future with our shared past, based on our shared vision, mission, and guiding principles. These were outlined at a 2-day brainstorming session co-sponsored by the Director of MFTA, Laurie Sutherland, and the Coordinator of MFHA, Cecil Chabot, in 2008. It was attended by Doug Jeffries, Clarence Trapper, Bert Wapache, Geraldine Governor, Alan Jolly, Sinclair Trapper, Bert Morrison, the late Jimmy Small, John Beck, Victor Linklater, Stan Ludit, Greg Williams, Greg Spence, and Richard Grome. The vision statement is as follows. We share an interest in the rich historical and cultural heritage of Moose Factory, Moosonee, and the Moose River region. That historical and cultural heritage is primarily Omishkego, but includes major contributions from other peoples, contributions that have become part of the present day's community's political, social, religious, economic, and cultural fabric in the course of its long evolution that predates Moose Factory's establishment as a fur trade post in 1673. As demonstrated by our community's additional EU, Orcadian, Scottish, English, Norwegian, and French heritage, hospitality has long been one of the most important aspects of Moose Cree and Omishkego culture. The mission statement is as follows. The purpose of this association is to preserve, document, promote, and perpetuate our historical and cultural heritage and our tradition of hospitality. We believe that this will have enormous benefits for ourselves, our communities, as well as a broader society to which we continue to contribute. Our nonprofit association draws on the support of our leadership, councils, and jurisdictions, and includes elders, youth, harvesters, community members and hosts, filmmakers, librarians, spiritual leaders, community researchers and educators, university and college professors and students, musicians, artists, and many others who have a passion for our combined heritage. The MRHHA is in a new major development phase since last year of 2020, and we have a part-time executive director, Cecil Chabot, and a part-time community coordinator, Fred Rickard. So we thank you for participating in this storytelling initiative, and we hope you enjoy the stories, and we look forward to future events. Miigwech, and have a good day. Bye.
Muskego. Where the cold north wind blows, where the northern lights shine bright, where the raging rivers flow, that's where I want to be tonight. Train rolls every second day to find the railroad end, where Muskego lands begin, that's where I want to be again. Muskego Cree from around James Bay, home of a language that will stay, home of the hunters of the Canada traveling shoes. Muskie go, hallelujah. Muskie go, hallelujah. Take me back to the Muskego. Take me back to be with them. Here in the city I reminisce about the land I love and the people I miss. Muskego Cree from around James Bay, home of a language that will stay, home of the hunters of the Canada goose, home for this boy with some traveling shoes. Muskego Cree from around James Bay, home of a language that will stay, home of the hunters of the Canada goose, home for this boy with some traveling shoes. Muskego, hallelujah. Muskego, hallelujah. Muskego, hallelujah. Muskego, hallelujah.
Hi, my name is Geraldine Govender, and I'm the Director of Language and Cultural Programs at Moose Cree First Nation. I've been involved with the Heritage Committee for a number of years as the co-chair. In 2023, it'll be 350 years since we've had European contact, and there will be a number of activities planned leading up to 2023. These will showcase our tradition and history as kind and sharing people. We have always maintained our identity as Moose Cree Lilwuk. And I would encourage people to come out and take part in all the different activities that will be planned.
Hi, my name is Norm Wesley, and I've been asked to tell a legend for this program. And I'm going to break the rules here in doing this. I don't read legends because tradition has it that you tell legends without reading. But I'm going to break that rule. Why? Because this legend was actually translated from Cree into English as told by one of our own people, the late Johnny Carpenter. And Johnny Carpenter is quite a man. I knew him personally. Some of you knew him personally. Hey, some of you may be grandchildren of or great-grandchildren of the late Johnny Carpenter. This is his story, a legend. Why the water in James Bay is salt. I'll tell about it. Long, long ago, as it happened, Weesekajak, as he was called, did a feast for the animals. And he invited all the animals. Whatever they must have eaten, I don't know, but every beast was there. So then they began. One person only they did not invite, the wolverine. That was the one whom they did not invite. Then and ever since then, the wolverine has been feared by everybody. The animals have been afraid of him right up until now. That must be why they did not invite him. At last, however, when they were halfway through the eating dinner, one of them was sent to keep a lookout, see whatever he's coming, whether he's coming. I'll go too, said the fox. I'll go the fastest. No, said another. You can't, said the weasel. I shall go, the weasel said. I'll be able to tunnel under the snow as I run about keeping a lookout for him. So then they told him to go. And now, sure enough, he came and he saw him as he came into view. Then this weasel ran back. He went to tell his fellow creatures. Now he's really coming into sight, he said to them. So again they went around the circle making a choice of someone who would meet him. So then, I will go, said the bear. No, he was told, you're too slow. So then the wolf said, I will go. I'm very good at dealing with a person, one way or the other. At last the skunk spoke up. He said, I shall go. I'm not afraid of anybody. That's what he was told. And so the skunk was allowed to go. And the skunk set out right away. Very soon he met him. Now then, the wolverine was asked, where are you going? I want to come to the feast which Wisekajak has given, he said. You must not go, the animals. The animals don't want you. They're afraid of you. You're too anxious to be in charge of everything. You want to spoil everything, he said to him. So then this fellow, but the wolverine didn't like being spoken to this way. I am going all the more, he said. Now then, he was about to go, but the skunk suddenly swung his backside around, and so naturally that thing came out from him. Then he bit him. The wolverine bit him, but he wanted to block that skunk. At this point, the wolverine was knocked utterly senseless. He didn't know where he was. He was not crazy. So then the skunk went back. He won't be arriving, he said. It was far away in a country where they had their feast, far, far away from the ocean. But now the wolverine wanted to go down the bank because he couldn't see and he wanted to run amok. Now then, he went down a bank making a guess that the sea was there. He kept bumping into trees since he couldn't see. Who are you? He said to the tree. A spruce, it said. Now he started to walk along again. And again he bumped into a tree. Who are you? A birchwood, it said. Once more he began to go away. Again he bumped into a tree. Who are you? A birchwood, it said. At last the wolverine said, I might as well stay here among the knolls. I don't know where it is, so I'll try again, he said. At last he began to move off again. Again he bumped into a tree. Who are you? He asked. A balsam replied. Now, he said, now I'm beginning to draw close to water, said the wolverine. He began to move about aimlessly some more. At last, as he bumped into a tree again, he said, Who are you? I'm a cedar, it answered. It amounts to about the same thing if I stay here, said the wolverine. Now then he started walking away again. So he walked about pretty much at random. Now again he bumped into something again. Who are you? He said. Well, it's a willow bark, it said. And he was very glad. Now he thought, this wolverine, I'm beginning to near the proper water. So now he began to walk away again, and now he bumped right into a tree. Who are you? I'm the black alder, it said. Now he became very happy as he walked along. At long last, he didn't discover anything with his feet. Finally, he heard something sounding just like the wind. Now he knew that he didn't know where the rollers were coming in over there. At last he began to walk on. Suddenly he bumped into something. What are you? He said. I'm a stone, it said. At last he was very happy. Now at last he heard it. At last finally he knew he was beginning to wade out. So now he began to wade up until it started to be covered with water. At last he began to wash himself, and that is why the ocean is salt. A story by John Carpenter, and this story was probably related to Doug Ellis, the one who translated and made this book called Cree Legends and Narratives, Atulakana Nesatapachamona, probably early 1960s, told by John, and this book has a lot of narratives, a lot of legends in it. So I wanted to break a rule and tell that cool story that Johnny Carpenter would have told back in, let's just say, 1962, when I was 12 years old, just becoming a teenager. I hope you enjoy the rest of the program.
When the sun shines, the birds sing as she walks along the shores, James Bay. When the eagle flies high in the sky over the horizon, James Bay. La 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 la, James Bay. When the sun shines, the birds sing as she walks along the shore, James Bay. La 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 la, James Bay.
I was born in October 1923. October 19th. My parents' names were Thomas MacLeod and Rubina Ann. She was a Carey before. Rubina Ann Carey. And she married Tom MacLeod. Tom MacLeod's father was Willie MacLeod. His mother was Ellen. Her name was Ellen Mark before he married her. My mother's father was George Carey. And he married Margaret Linklater. But my grandfathers, I remember them. Well, I liked them very much. So they must have been kind.
Yeah.
And That's where we met at a dance, eh? And that's where I met Gilbert, coming home from the dance.
Coming home from the dance?
He walked me home.
Did he ask you to dance?
Oh, yeah.
A few times? And then
We were dancing there, yeah. Well, we'd go walking and
walks
yeah. Just maybe sit around along the river on the bank. I got married on the 9th of October, 39. Well, we stayed a while down with his parents. And then what made us move up to my parents' place, there was a flu came around it. And everybody got sick. So that's when we moved up with my parents in that big house. That's where we had to go because I got sick too. I had a flu. We used to sleep upstairs. And when it would rain, we had to put up a tent over our bed. Because it used to leak.
Wow.
I was busy with myself. Looking after my family. I used to have to make the clothing for the babies.
Yeah.
I sewed their clothing right until they were old enough running around, and I made clothes for them. Well, my grandchildren wore moccasins. I made moccasins for them. Well, I didn't go to work at the school until no, I didn't go to work till after Kathy started going to school.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to leave her at home. So then I started working. I worked at the school. I worked at the Bay. In the school I taught Cree. I was the first one to teach Cree in the school. All kinds of people visiting. Very nice of you to come and visit.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
This is Stan Wesley's Moose Factory Heritage Moment. This has been Stan Wesley's Moose Factory Heritage Moment.
Wendy Kirk. I have chosen my story to reflect a historical perspective of the years 1965 to 1973 in Moose Factory. The year was 1965. My husband and I and two little girls trekked from southern Ontario to Moose Factory to begin a new job and a new life. It was a journey that would last 35 years in the James Bay lowlands. We had to use a map to identify our new locale. Our first trip on the Ontario Northland Railway train was an adventure in itself. We met Pat Gray of the Air Force Base and his family on the train, and they gave us lots of information about Northern living. A smiling Charlie Morrison met us at the station in Moosonee and conveyed us and our belongings to our new home. We settled into a can car unit near the site of the former post office. From the first day, I fell in love with the land and the people of Moose Factory. My husband John's job was as business administrator of the Moose Factory Island School Board. His responsibilities included Moose Fort School, Main School, and the Village School. We enjoyed many teachers over the years, including the late John Delaney, who became such a vital community member, and the late Rich Armstrong, who lost his life during a hunting incident. St. Thomas's Anglican Church was a thriving beacon looking over the river at this time. I remember a pot-bellied wood stove was the main heating source. Bishop Neville Clark, suffragan bishop of the Diocese of Moosonee, was in charge in 1965, assisted by the Reverend Grant Ward. Canon Sam Iserhoff was the beloved priest in charge of Cree services. I believe 3 services a Sunday were held, ably assisted by a wonderful choir, who later became recording artists, with Herbert McLeod as the organist. 1,200 people a day arrived on the newly created Polar Bear Express. A thriving tourist industry developed. The Anglican Church Women of St. Thomas's provided hot dog lunches to hungry tourists, as well as providing a showcase for local arts and crafts in the parish hall. When the parish hall tragically burned down, the resourceful ladies operated under a tent within a few days. The Hudson's Bay Company, probably the original founders of a settlement on the island, provided a thriving store. Readers will remember J.J. Woods, Woody, the store manager, and Pat Pattison, the entertaining butcher who supplied recipes with his meat sales. Other employees included Elsie Chilton, Nellie Ferries, and Gloria McDonald, among many others. The Bay was a social gathering spot and also supplied gas to the community. Cannons on the manager's lawn and the old fur press were landmarks. During this time, Horden Hall was operating as a residential school with children from the local area as well as Ojibwe communities. Derek Mills was the director, overseeing the students and their supervisors. Weekly movie nights were enjoyed by the students as well as the public. Scouts and Cubs under Harris Glenn, Brownies and Guides with Joan Pugh, and JA with Wendy Kirk, Judy Danks, and Beulah Morrison were some of the activities enjoyed by the children. Also in 1973, a huge Boy Scout jamboree was held on the grounds of Horden Hall. I chose to highlight the years between 1965 and 73 from a historical perspective. I hope listeners have enjoyed a glimpse of their community some 56 years ago. Thank you.
Wache, hello. My name is Cecil Chabot. I'm the Executive Director of the Moose River Heritage and Hospitality Association. As many of you know, I was born and raised in Moose Factory, and I've been on the board of the MRHHA since the beginning, and I just stepped down last spring to take up the role of part-time Executive Director, working with Fred Rickard, our community coordinator, and our many volunteer committee members. Back in 1973, Moose Cree First Nation leaders and community members helped organize a major celebration of the 300th anniversary of the founding of Moose Factory as a permanent settlement and the establishment of Cree-European transatlantic relations. That anniversary celebration had a big impact on our community, and the Moose River Heritage and Hospitality Association wants to build on that legacy with a new initiative called More Than 350 in 2023, from time immemorial to 1673 to 2023. Our goal is to take advantage of this anniversary to advance our mission of building a future with our shared past. We want to center our commemoration around the deeper and broader history and territory of the Musisibi Illiluwak, and to celebrate above all the heritage and tradition of hospitality that has seen many diverse people welcome into Moose Cree territory, friendships and families for centuries. We see this as a unique once-in-a-generation opportunity to help strengthen our communities in ways that integrate and impact education, heritage and language restoration, reconciliation, traditional and contemporary cultural and artistic development and flourishing, economic development, health, etc. In order to advance this broad objective, the MRHHA aims to build a close working relationship among its jurisdictional, organizational, business, and individual members, as well as other local and regional organizations and other partners and participants across Canada and across the Atlantic.
Hi, my name is Norm Wesley. A couple of things that I want to show you. The first of all, this paddle. And you'll notice that there's an image on this paddle. And it's an image that most of you, well, all of you are familiar with if you're from Moosonee and Moose Factory, or you've been born and raised here, or if you've visited this place. And this is the first thing, and it's a gift that I was given by the Select Vestry for the years of service that I had with St. Thomas Church as their minister. The second thing I wanted to show you was this here. And I did a wedding one time. Gerald McComb Jr. gave this to me as a gift of appreciation when I did their wedding, and you'll see that this also is a very nice portrait of St. Thomas Church. I'm the chair of the St. Thomas Church Restoration Committee, and I just wanted to share that with you that this is a very important project that we've undertaken, and we hope that we can get your support as well. Those of you who are living in Moosonee Moose Factory and even beyond, because this is an iconic building here in Moose Factory. Try Googling Moose Factory, Ontario, and the image that'll show up will be this image here. That's how important and how significant and how iconic this building is. And our job is to save this church. So I want to encourage you all to take part in this and put this as something that's very, very important in the work of this community here in Moose Factory and Moosonee. I hope you're enjoying the show.
My name is Doug Evans. I'm a retired conservation architect and a member of the St. Thomas Committee. My job has involved the appraisal, conservation, repair, and adaptive reuse of historic buildings and ancient monuments, working with church parish councils, charitable trusts, and private clients. It has been a privilege to be able to assist them in conserving and adapting their historic buildings so they could pass them on to future generations in a renewed and revitalized condition. As a member of the St. Thomas Committee, I look forward to working with the Moose River Heritage and Hospitality Association and helping it to develop as a sustainable community organization, including the ability to fulfill its mission as custodian of this nationally important building. Thank you for this opportunity.
Hello, my name is Doris. Having visited the wonderful communities of Moose Factory and Moosonee for the past 10 years, I have walked by the white building with the steeple, standing on guard of the cemetery and looking over the river. It was St. Thomas Church. This long history inspired me to volunteer my time to do some small part to help ensure this part of the community's heritage is shared not only in the North, but throughout Canada.
The scene it goes, I was a kid at home, kicking around the sticks and stones. I was 13, and man, I could dream. I had a good life. I would race through the summer trees. I was young, proud, and oh so free. Invasion forced upon me with the falling of the light. The light. And so it was that I got routine, torn from security. The lectures, the systems, and all that seemed could not take away my dreams, could not take away my dreams. The wisdom that lay within us got us past the coldest nights, those nights. And when the black doors closed, it released all the souls and opened up the letting go of days so long ago. Now I got kids of my own. The dreams are back and I let them roam. The school days are long gone, and I hold tight to my own throne, 'cause I know who I am. Seen it goes, I'm just a common man, rich in love with a red, red rose. Her eyes released the boy in me, gave him wings and set me free.
There is a cooking and sleeping wigwam. Canada geese fly south in fall, and they fly north in spring.
Wigwams are also known as wigwams.
Welcome.
Hi.
Wajay. Thank you.
Wajay.
Yes, Wajay, Clayton, and Lynn. So we're so glad to have you here today, Clayton Chichu and Lynn Harper Chichu. And they're going to share some music with us and maybe tell us some stories about their life here in Moose Factory. So winter is a time of storytelling, and I love your music because your music tells stories. And I'd like you to just kind of give us some insight into your process of making music, and particularly about the video that the music video we're going to see today.
Okay, well, the video we're going to be watching is The Only Thing, and it speaks to the preservation of the land, love, family, the treaties, and the traditions as well, and the culture of the area. And there's a lot of lovely footage of this particular area into the James Bay region. But it also talks about, the issues facing not only Indigenous communities, but the world right now, like economic crises and food shortages. So it kind of touches on those elements are within there. But the ultimate, I would say the message is love is the only thing that's going to last,
Right. Okay. So did you write the lyrics, Lynn?
Yeah.
Or was it a collaboration between the two of you?
We collaborated with ideas. I ended up writing the lyrics. Clayton came up with some ideas for the lyrics as well, and he wrote the musical. Like he actually structured the chords because I wasn't playing piano on this particular tune, so I relied on him to sort of provide the backing initially, and then when we went in the studio, we each added our parts and percussion and synthesizer and whatnot.
Yeah, and I saw at the end of the credits of the video, there's a number of different musicians from Moose Factory who supported you on this project too. Right?
Yeah, well, on Red Willow Bending, there's a lot of different, like Lawrence Cheech, who played guitar on a few of the tracks. He's really good. Nelson Elisapi, George Whittam. Am I missing anyone? Oh, Paul Wesley is actually from Cash. He did the chant on Love is the Only Thing, and it did a beautiful job.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Stan Ludet did the video, or Cree Wino, as he is known. He did the video for this particular song, which was really great. That kind of started us off, and then we went from there and began making our own videos. So that was fun.
Yeah. So this song is part of an album of songs that you made, right?
Yeah, it is.
And what's the name of the CD?
Red Willow Bending.
It's gonna last. Don't put your heart outside yourself. Your heart. Be here tonight and nowhere else. Someone has learned to lie. Her heart is swollen pride. Angry world took my number off the wall. Promised she would never call anymore. Love is the only thing that's gonna last. Love is the only thing that's gonna last. Floodgates are open wide. Food shortage on the rise. It's no fantasy. And for the love of gold, they have stripped mine our soul.
winter homes, or we could live beneath the domed cities. The old ones had it right, getting hard to stay on this little island. Love is the only thing that's gonna last. Love is the only thing that's gonna last. Corporations benefit and strife. Individuals gonna sit on the welfare line. Who needs another green? Save the tree. Gonna sell them to another country. Get up off your knees. Nothing is gonna last. Don't let them tell a wicked lie. Wicked lie. The rich get rich and the poor ones die. Remember your treaty rights. Don't let them take a big bite of your land and your life. The final test has come. Don't forget where you came from and your history. Look into your past. Remember your history. Don't forget the prophecies. Love is the only thing that's gonna last. Love is the only thing that's gonna last.
Now, you both come from musical families. And Clayton, I'm sure everyone knows your parents, Daisy and James Chichu. And Lynn, you also have a sister who's very musical. And so can you tell us a little bit about the influence of music in your life?
Who would you like to start? Okay, I'll start. My goodness, I've been playing for many years. Made several albums with Siren. Clayton joined us on our second album, Wisdom of the Heart. That's where we first met. Started working together before we came up here. Our first recording for Siren was nominated for a Juno, which was nice to be recognized in the reggae category. And we toured a lot. And then after Clayton joined us, we did a lot of touring as well. But we finally came up here after Marlon was born, and so we've been living in Moose Factory since the winter of '94. So
Oh,
it's
a long time.
yeah, we travel, but this is our home.
Okay. So, and tell me how important you think music is, not just to you personally, but to family life and to the community.
Jeez. Well, I think music, well, there's to the community, there's a certain kind of music that Clayton could probably speak to, the fiddle music. We produced actually James and Daisy, Mom and Dad's recording of Sheishi Man, which was traditional fiddle music of James Bay. And they're all like 300-year-old fiddle tunes that came over, during the time of the Hudson Bay Company. So it's very rare, and it had never been recorded before. So when Ontario Arts Council and Canada Council heard about it, they jumped on it immediately. Said, yes, it sounds great, let's do it. So that's a big, obviously fiddle music and the tradition itself, is a really big part of the community. Yeah.
Yeah, we're actually going to be doing a feature on your parents, Clayton. So this is nice that we can get this background to that project.
So I mean, they're 91, and Dad still plays a bit, but not as you can't play long enough now. But he still, is active yet in playing the fiddle yet. So Mom is still at the spoons and playing along with and the drum as well too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they're doing good.
Yeah.
James Chichu began playing the fiddle in the 1940s at the age of 12. He taught himself the fiddle by ear and by listening to the old fiddle tunes of his father, Noah, and other local Cree fiddlers. In 1998, James recorded a CD titled Che Chiman, a Cree word meaning big ship and referring to the three-masted fur trade sailing ships that brought the HBC fur trade and the fiddle music to James Bay. James's recording is a remembrance of 10 square dance tunes from his youth. Each tune is associated to a particular square dance. Some tunes are named in Cree and can also identify the accompanying dance. One of the fiddle tunes on the CD is Sigabon Higan. In Cree, Sigabon refers to the traditional Cree way of cooking a Canadian goose. Sigabon Higan is a dance which features the couples hooking elbows and swinging in the square dance set. James and his wife Daisy and family members have traveled to various festivals in Canada and the United States, presenting stage performances and workshops in the fiddle music tradition of the James Bay Cree. In 2013, James and Daisy traveled to Aberdeen, Scotland, and to the Orkney Islands to participate in various musical events and festivals. In 2013, the Moose Cree First Nation bestowed a Lifetime Achievement recognition to James and Daisy for their contribution to the tradition of fiddle music in James Bay.
Mm-hmm.
ask you a couple more questions about life in the North, and especially living on Moose Factory. Moose Factory has this very special feel about it. It's an island, and it's in the Moose River, and it's a real journey to travel there. Every time I go there, you have to take the train from Cochrane. It's a 2-day journey. You get to Moosonee, and then you take the boat across the river to the island. It's like for me, it's like another world. And I just have such a connection to that place. But you live there, and I know that you have those feelings too about Moose Factory. But can you share some insights as to why you keep living there? What is it about that place that keeps you there?
Oh, did you want to speak to that?
Well, actually, me, for myself, like, I'm sure Lynn too, but for me, this is where our family's from, Moose Factory, like our family, Chichus, my grandfathers and stuff. So this is where my ancestors on my dad's side come from, this area. So it's, in a sense, it's our homeland, basically, where we come from. So, this is just home. And whatever happens here is just, there's family, there's history here of our families. So what else can we say? This is home.
And we love the trees, and we love the rivers, and we hope it stays that way. What else can we say? I mean, it's beautiful to be surrounded by waters that are fresh still, forests that are untouched, and we really we think that's a beautiful thing, and we'd like to see that preserved.
And your children have chosen to stay there, which must make you very happy too.
I wanted to raise them in the tradition in an Indigenous environment. I didn't want them to grow up in the city. I wanted them to learn about their culture. My daughter's heading out to university, and she's going to be studying law, Indigenous law. She's just graduating out of college right now, and my son, he's always been very much involved with the culture here, with power music and singing, and he's also carrying on the tradition. He's a good guitar player, a good singer. He likes to write. So it's nice. We have that. We have our own studio here, so we can continue to be creative. So, we're actually very fortunate.
Hello, NYJ, Moosonee, and Moose Factory. My name is Christine Rickard, and I am the eldest daughter to Anne Wesley of Moose Factory. It's been a while since I have lived in the communities, but it's definitely a place that holds many amazing experiences and memories that create the person that I am today. Living in the South has made me realize just how unique my stories are of growing up in the James Bay area. When given the opportunity to be part of the More Than 350 in 2023 committee, I immediately agreed, as it gives me a reason to reconnect with family and friends and celebrate the place that I ultimately call home. Growing up in a place that's so rich in history, traditional lifestyle, and family values can sometimes be taken for granted, and I am so excited to participate in collectively acknowledging and celebrating these unique communities. Thank you, and miigwech.
This is Stan Wesley's Moose Factory Heritage Moment.
Hey, yeah, I'm heading up to Harl's. Gonna buy myself a pop and chip. Beverly Hills Cop. My cousin's saying that's really good, eh? Real nice. But the other night I was there looking for a movie. Waited 3 hours, stood by the door for somebody to return it. Those people, keep the movies long. But that's okay. Tonight, if they don't have it there, I'm gonna go to Gigi's, then Movie Shack, see if they have it there. And if not, I'll go over to EJ's, see if they have it there. Just stuck someone ever desperate to watch a movie, but my cousin says it's good. Kind of have it in my head. Gonna watch a movie tonight. I'm determined. Nice.
This has been Stan Wesley's Moose Factory Heritage Moment.
Wache. Welcome. I'm Virginia Barter, and this is Paula Rickard. We're here together to talk about the 350th anniversary celebrations that are coming up. And as part of that, we've got a topic we want to share with you. Paula?
Yes, one topic that I think everyone will find interesting is genealogy and how we are all connected to one another, but we'll focus just on one branch of my very huge family tree. My genealogy research included many conversations with my aunt, Eva, who is no longer here. She passed on a couple of years ago. But I had the opportunity to sit with Eva and have many phone calls with her to talk about genealogy and family history. And she shared with me so much history, so many stories about Dinah, my great grandmother. And one of the stories was, way back when my grandmother was when Granny Chum was still living, she lived by the river, and she had her grandson. And her nephew, one of her nephews, she was making plans to go to her camp, and she had to fly to get to her camp. So what she did was she had her grandson help her carry her all her camping supplies, all her camping gear down to the river, and they put them in the canoe, and then she, if you're familiar with the area, she had to paddle south to the south end of the island, and that area today, we call it the dikes. So she traveled to that area, unloaded her stuff, and set up camp for the night. And we're talking like she set up camp on Moose Factory Island. Meanwhile, she lived a half a mile away from the location where she set up camp. And so she woke up the next day, and the plane landed right there by the river where she was camping, and she loaded up onto the plane and she went camping. So I was telling my father about this, and he said, well, she was smart. You have to remember back then there was no taxis. And so she did what she needed to do to make sure that she was able to be in that spot to catch the plane. And so she had a plan to go camping, and she did what she needed to do to make sure she carried out all those activities to implement her plan. So myself, I like to consider myself yeah, I like to consider myself a planner. So I think that's part of where I like to think that's where I got that characteristic from, was from her, that
So have you got more pictures? Are there more pictures?
Yes, I do. And so this is again her husband, Angus. And I have another picture of, I believe this picture here of my granny chum she was a little bit older than her husband was in this picture. But I really like this picture of my grandmother. She looks so sweet there. Mm-hmm. This is Henry Sailors. Henry is my granny chum's father. Henry Sailors was about 52 years old in 1905 when he was one of the signatories to the James Bay Treaty. So that's one of the things he did. And if you can see on the picture there's this medallion, and I believe that was from the signing of the treaty. And
wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. So I like to believe that he believed that signing the treaty was a good thing for our people, because today people have different interpretations and perspectives about the treaty today. But I like to believe that he thought it was a good thing. Otherwise, why would he sign it? So Henry Sailors, his parents were Jacob Sailors and Rachel Goodwin. Okay, and Henry Sailors was great-great-grandson of Dr. Robert Goodwin and Mr. Goose. And Dr. Robert Goodwin was a full-blooded Englishman who came here to work for the Hudson's Bay Company, and as a doctor. So the first place that he traveled to when he came here was he went to East Maine, where he was a company surgeon. And from there, he changed roles over the years until his passing in 1805. My my grandmother Laura. So this would be Henry's no Dinah Sailor's and Angus Chum's daughter is Laura. So she's the woman in the picture, and her husband is George Rickard, and my dad is sitting. My grandpa George is holding my dad, and then the boy in the middle is my uncle Oliver, and then the girl to the beside my grandmother is my aunt Eva, the one who shared many stories with me about our Granny Chum. And all of the people in the picture here, they have all since passed away.
Do you want to say anything to encourage other people to carry on in this their genealogy searches, or how do you think this will fit into our 350th anniversary celebrations?
Well, definitely a lot of our people are descendants of Hudson Bay fur traders, explorers. If we look hard enough into our ancestry, we will find those connections. There are other Hudson Bay fur traders and other branches of my family tree. And my genealogy research is showing how our communities are connected to each other. And my genealogy also gives me a different perspective on people, because I look at people in a different way. If I'm in the line at the grocery store, or if I'm in my vehicle and I drive by someone, my mind automatically spins to thinking about how I'm related to that person, or how those people that I'm seeing are related to each other. And I've discovered that I'm related to many people all along the James Bay coast and in Moose Factory as well. And there's a lot of interesting stories. There's a lot of funny stories that have come from my research. And one of the best things that come from my research is understanding, hearing about the traditional practices that our ancestors did, in Moose Factory. And of course, reading, again, going back to focusing on Dr. Robert Goodwin. He was a doctor, and I'd like to think that that interest in healthcare somehow, traveled throughout the different generations, because there's a number of healthcare providers in my family today. And through all my genealogy research as well, gives me a different perspective on culture. And because I've had the opportunity to hear stories about cultural practices and beliefs, that I'm able to today give advice on the use and placement of culture into programs and services that will help our people today. And that ability became stronger for through my genealogy research. And so my genealogy research is definitely more than just making those connections between families and people. It has opened up a bigger window for me in terms of looking at culture and how important culture is to us today, and how it supports our well-being.
Hello, Moose Factory and Moosonee. I am a member of Save the St. Thomas Committee. I joined in the hopes of seeing our old St. Thomas Anglican Church restored to its original place of worship. My name is Trudy Sailors, and I am a parishioner of the St. Thomas Anglican Church in Moose Factory, Ontario. I look forward to the time when we can once again all meet in person to fellowship and learn as a parish. Also, to continue the work to save the St. Thomas. Blessings to all. Thank you.
Wache, hello. I realize that probably none of you know who I am. My name is Thomas Blompier, and I'm working on my history PhD at the University of Toronto, and I've chosen to do my research on the Moosonee and Moose Factory area. And in particular, I've chosen to look at how the coming of the railway in the 1930s to today and how that has changed relations in the region. I have to confess that I've never visited Moosonee or Moose Factory, and I'm afraid that I only know the area through archives and through books and through photographs. If this past year had been different, I was very much looking forward to a visit, but that will have to be sometime in the future. There are three main reasons that I chose to get involved with the MRHHA. First being that I wanted to connect with people in the area and also people who find the area interesting, just as I do. I wanted to help with the commemorations because it is such a special heritage in the area, and I wanted to be part of celebrating that and preserving that for future generations. And the other reason is I wanted to help set the record straight. When you look at the region so much like I do through archives, you get a very one-sided story. And I wanted to be able to help local communities get their side of those stories onto the record as well. So I'm really looking forward to ongoing commemoration events, especially into 2023. And I look forward to meeting some of you in person in the future.
Hello, my name's Eli Chilton. I'm from Moose Factory, Ontario. I work for the John Argelina Youth Centre. I am the DJ and producer and youth worker for CJFI 107.1 FM The Island. And I'm here to take part in the Storyteller series as a playwright, as a writer. And I'll be reading a couple of excerpts, a couple of scenes from my new play, my new untitled play. And yeah, so I'll just start, and here it is. Act 2, Scene 1. Lights up, curtains open. The light is fading on the day. It is dusk. It is quite windy out. Clouds have rolled and obscuring what daylight is left. The tarp on the roof of the tent frame is moving about, even more from the strong winds. The tent is dark and monochromatic from the lack of daylight. In the distance, the crunching of snow can be heard from walking. Solomon is on his way home after a half-day's hunt in the snowblind. The rhythm of the walking is off. It actually sounds more like limping and hobbling through the snow. The sound gets ever more closer until the latch of the door is heard opening, and the door is swung open abruptly. Solomon appears through the doorway, hobbled and using his walking stick as a crutch, and his gun strapped on his shoulder and his bag on his back. Solomon: "Honey, I'm home." Son of a gun, that smarts. Solomon appears to be wet as well on his jacket and pants. He favors one leg, and his right foot is somewhat elevated, attempting not to put any pressure on his foot and ankle. He takes the shotgun off his shoulder and puts it into the corner of the tent. Solomon leans against the doorway, careful not to drop his crutch, and loosens the bag from his back and drops it into the same corner. He closes the door behind him and hobbles over to the chair and plops down into it. Solomon: "Damn it." He sits and collects himself in his pain, breathing and concentrating. He looks over to his table and reaches for some matches, takes one out and strikes it, and lights a couple of nearby candles. The tent is dimly lit by the candles. Solomon looks at his right foot and ankle. "I don't think it's broken. It's painful, but not that painful." He reaches under behind his knee and lifts his right leg. He outstretches his foot to make a circular motion with his booted foot. Solomon can make it a little before the pain hits him. Solomon: "God." He puts his leg down gently. Solomon: "I couldn't do that if I broke it. Hopefully I didn't fracture it or rip or tear anything. If I'm lucky, I sprained it. Damn it, I should have been more careful trying to catch that wounded goose." I got it, but at a cost. Twisted my foot trying to reach out for that goose. Fell in the water, too. Solomon looks at his jacket, which is wet but not soaked. He takes it off and leaves it hanging on the chair. He looks at the little clock on the table. Solomon, geez, it took me almost over an hour to get back. The walk is usually about 20-25 minutes. Solomon looks around the tent and concentrates. Tired. I can feel sleeping coming on strong. He blows out the candles and gets up slowly with the help of his crutch. Solomon leaps over to his bedside and sits down. He places the walking stick against the wall and adjusts his sleeping bag. Solomon, no fire tonight. Just my trusty blanket here. Gotta keep my boots on. Take a look-see at my foot in the morning. Damn, I feel tired. He lies back in his bed and throws his sleeping bag over himself. Solomon, honey, you wouldn't believe what happened to me today. Yeah. I hear you, Pops. I gotta. Solomon falls asleep in the dark tent. The sun has gone down altogether now, and Solomon sleeps soundly on his bed in the corner of the tent. It's still quite windy outside the tent, and the tarp occasionally whips up and down against the tent frame. Act 2, Scene 2. It is the early morning. Dawn is beginning to break. Solomon is sleeping soundly in the exact same place, with the blanket pulled over him, and his hip waders are still on. There is a light rain that's pattering on the tarp roof. He snores and breathes deeply occasionally. The light from the sun begins to brighten the tent frame. In the corner of the tent, something moves. It comes out of the shadow to reveal itself. It appears to be a marten. The marten is brown and about 20 inches in length. It smells the floor and the air and timidly moves deeper into the tent and looks at Solomon lying in bed. It jumps up over the chair onto the chair near the foot of his bed. It stands a moment and stares at Solomon. The marten jumps to the floor and walks over to another bed frame that is empty on the other side of the table and leaps up on it. It timidly steps onto the table and stands a moment again to look at Solomon. The animal is strangely familiar with Solomon as it looks at him. Solomon's breathing changes, and he slowly lifts his head from his sleep to look in the direction of the marten standing on the table. The marten is startled at being seen and skitters off the table and onto the floor with 2 giant leaps, and it bounds through the hole in the doorway and disappears into the rainy morning light. Solomon drops his head onto his pillow and falls back asleep. The rain continues to fall outside, and the morning daylight increasingly becomes brighter. Solomon shifts in his bed and sleeps on. That was a reading from my new untitled play, Act 2, Scene 1 and Act 2, Scene 2. The play is about an elder who's spring hunting at his goose camp by himself, and he hosts a man and his son later on in the season, and the story continues from there. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to finish it later this year. Thank you, and have a good day.
Hi, everybody. My name's Sheila Weisk. I am one of the committee members for the 350 in 2023 celebration. One of the reasons why I joined this committee is to celebrate the Mushkegowuk culture, heritage, and history, to preserve it for the Moosonee and Moose Factory in James Bay area. Miigwech.
Wachia Moose Factory and Moosonee. My name is Jane Scanlon, and I'm a member of the Save St. Thomas Committee. I lived on Moose Factory Island between the years of 1964 and 1969, when my father, the Reverend Jim Scanlon, was the priest at St. Thomas. I have many good memories of the community and the church, and in fact, I kept this lovely painting of the church, which my family took with us when we moved on in 1969. I'm very committed to the restoration of this church, and I will be giving my time and my money, and I invite you to do the same. Miigwech.
I am a member of the Save St. Thomas Committee. I was very pleased to be asked to join in and help in this effort because the church, the historic church of St. Thomas, meant a lot to me. It means a lot to me. All four of my children, Ryan, Rachel, Kendall, and Sarah, were all born in Moose Factory and were baptized in St. Thomas's. Of course, Mark and I were married in the St. Thomas Church as well. I served as a vestry member while I lived in Moose Factory, and I was a choir member with so many other community members, some who have passed on, but I have great memories of practicing and talking and all kinds of shenanigans with Monroe and Elsie and Daisy and other members who were so much fun, so much good social activity associated with that. We sang, of course, at a lot of wakes, and that brings me to one of the important things about St. Thomas, is that almost every, I'm sure virtually every community member has been through those doors.
So thank you, Miigwech, for everybody who participated in this launch of the events that will be coming. We look forward to seeing you again, and we really enjoyed the time spent here.
Yes, thank you so much. And we really encourage you to participate and come out and join our committee, and we welcome your ideas. And really, this is going to be a great time. And just think, we'll be telling these stories to our grandchildren.
Storytelling. This is what we have done. We've told a story of who we are, our past, our history, and about this building here, and what we would like to see in the future, a restored building. It's part of our history, part of our past. And the last story I want to share with you is this one. It's a story that is short, it's brief, it's a profound story. It's a story about Moses leading his people out of Egypt. And the Lord speaks to him. God speaks to Moses. And he says, tell Aaron and his sons, this is how you're to bless the Israelites. Say to them, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. We have been blessed with our past in many ways. And good, bad, or indifferent, we take those things of the past and we work them to make us stronger than ever. The next story will be the restoration of this building to make it new again as a reminder of our past, our heritage. And it's that same priestly blessing that the Lord instructed Moses, that I leave with you, that we leave with you, that we will continue to be blessed with the future, with hope, with the promise of peace in the end. We thank you for watching this program. Miigwech.